Hello everyone, I welcome you all back to my channel, Time with Nurse Joyce Lane. This channel talks about nursing and also offer health tips for a healthy lifestyle. If today is your first time of watching my videos, kindly like and share and also subscribe to this channel for me. Put on your notification bells so that whenever I post new videos, you also see them. Thank you. Today we are going to discuss menstruation. We'll talk about menstruation, what is menstrual cycle, what the cycle is all about, and how to figure out what is happening in your cycle. The menstrual cycle begins when you have your period or when you menstruate. This is the shedding of the lining of the uterus. The menstrual cycle is actually part of the reproductive system and prepares your body every month for a possible pregnancy. I'll tell you why. A typical menstrual cycle lasts between 24 days and 38 days. Menstruation, or what we call in other terms period or menses, is the monthly shedding of the lining of the uterus. Yes, every month we shed the lining of the uterus, and there's a reason for that. Menstrual blood, that is partly blood and tissue from the inside of the uterus out through the cervix and out of the body through the vagina, is called menstruation. Menstruation is driven by hormones. Hormones are chemical messengers found in the body. The pituitary gland found in the brain and also the ovaries, which is part of the reproductive system, make and release these hormones at certain times during the menstrual cycle. These hormones cause the thickening of the uterus. They cause the thickening of the lining of the uterus so that if there's a possible pregnancy, the egg can implant itself into the lining of the uterus. Hormones also cause the ovaries to release an egg. That is in ovulation. So when you ovulate, these hormones cause the ovaries to release an egg. And the egg will move down the fallopian tubes where it sits and waits comfortably for a sperm to come and fertilize it. In a case where the egg doesn't get fertilized, pregnancy doesn't occur. So in the end, the lining of the uterus will shed off. That is what we term as the period or our menses. How long does a normal period or a normal menses last? Most people bleed for 3 to 7 days. Yes, some people bleed for 3 days and it is still normal, depending on how heavy the bleeding is. Some will also ask, can I menstruate twice in a month? This is a typical question that I've been asked severally by some of my friends. And the answer is no. It is either you are not counting the days in your cycle well, or there's an underlying problem, underlying medical condition that may require treatment. So you have to seek medical intervention when it happens like that. We have steps in the menstrual cycle. That is what we term as the phases of the menstrual cycle. The rise and fall of the hormones trigger these steps to happen. And these are the specific events that occur during the menstrual cycle. One is the menstruation phase. In this phase is when you shed off the lining of your uterus because pregnancy did not occur. Actually, every month there's a release of an egg into the fallopian tubes where it waits for a sperm to come and fertilize it. So, talking about the menstruation phase, the egg is now not fertilized by any sperm, and it's now, together with other tissues in the uterus, are shed off through the vagina and what we see as blood, menstrual blood, and we term as menstruation. So in this phase, there is the menstruation that we see. And most people bleed from 3 days to 5 days and even 7 days. This is all normal. The second step is the follicular phase. Follicular phase begins on the first day you menstruate and ends at ovulation. It actually overlaps with the menses phase and ends when you ovulate. During this same time, the level of the hormone estrogen rises, which causes the thickening of the lining of the uterus or the endometrium. In addition, there is this hormone called the follicle stimulating hormone that causes follicles to grow in your ovaries. From day 10 to 14, one of these follicles will fully grow into a mature egg called the ovum. The next phase is the ovulation or the ovulatory phase. This occurs roughly at about day 14 in a 28-day menstrual cycle. The sudden increase in another hormone called the luteinizing hormone causes the ovaries to release its egg, and this is called ovulation. Now let's talk about the next phase, that is the luteal phase. This phase lasts from day 15 to day 28. Now the egg that was released by the ovaries leaves the ovaries and begins to travel through the fallopian tubes to the uterus. There's also a high level of progesterone trying to prepare the uterus for a possible pregnancy. If this egg gets fertilized by a sperm and attaches itself to the walls of the uterus, this is called implantation. If this happens, you become pregnant. However, if this process does not result in pregnancy, the progesterone and the estrogen levels involved in this whole scenario will drop, and then you begin to shed the lining of the uterus as your period, and that is when you menstruate. Most people start menstruating at an average age of 12 years, while others also menstruate as late as 16 years. This is also normal depending on their body systems. Some of the symptoms associated with menstruation are breast tenderness, headaches, menstrual cramps, food cravings, mood changes, and acne. It is rather normal to see some variations or to experience some variations in the amount of bleeding in each cycle. Your cycle today may be different from your cycle next month. So you also remember that your normal can be different from someone else's. In this case, you don't try to compare because each and every one is different. How is it important for you to track your period? Doing this will help you to know when you ovulate, when you are likely to get pregnant, and when you are to plan ahead for bleeding during a special event. So, in tracking your period, you mark your first day of menstruation with an X on a calendar, and that day becomes your first day. It becomes your day one. You continue to mark the subsequent days with an X until when you stop bleeding. When bleeding starts again, you mark another day with an X. That's when you start menstruating again. You mark that day also with an X. And you continue also to mark the subsequent days with X until you stop bleeding again. You can then count the number of X from each first X that you mark to get the length of your cycle. So by this count, you will get to know whether you menstruate every 21 days, every 28 days, or every 35 days. Today has been great. I thank you all for watching this video. If you like it, kindly share for me, and also let me know your thoughts, your suggestions, and feedback in the comment section. I would like you to also subscribe for me if you've not done so yet. Put on your notification bells so that if I post new videos, you'll be able to see them. Your comments and your suggestions will help me to know what to bring out next. Until I see you in my next video, be good.